What's up to all my rich witches and rich wizards out there in Weezy Wonderland? It's your girl Chinway, aka Chinweezy, aka Madam Weezy, aka the Rich Witch. Hold up. This ain't the Rich Witch show, but you know I had to make that magical practical. Welcome to the Soul Tribe. I want to thank you so much for purchasing a membership, for being here, for trusting me to teach you so many things, tell you about my journey, go behind the scenes, and get the real deal Rich Witch raw. Okay. If you have questions, please email. If you would like to do personal one-on-one sessions, that is also something that we could maybe possibly arrange if you're not really understanding or grasping, or you just want to go further in depth, then please reach out via the contact page as well. So without further ado, let's get into tarot. Welcome to TTC, the tarot course. All right, let's talk about what tarot is. First of all, this is a tarot deck. Most decks have 78 cards, give or take. And then we have the Oracle deck. Okay, now the Oracle decks are different because they have different themes, different colors. They can say whatever they want to say on the bottom. However, tarot or Tarotchi is pretty standard across the board for the most part. The pictures may deviate, but for the most part, you're gonna have the same four suites: our wands, our swords, our cups, and our pentacles, as well as our trump cards. That is our major arcana. So that's just kind of giving you some, you know, just to get you a little, what's the word we're looking for? A little bit acquainted with what's going on here. And I don't want to keep these videos too long. I want to come in and out, give you the information, and get out. So let's talk about the history of tarot first. Basically, we all know that anything having to do with divinity, spirituality, the laws of the universe, anything that is useful in today's society, we all know it came from ancient Cometians, ancient Egyptians, but per usual, we're not able to transcribe the hieroglyphics, even though they can be found here in the cards, which I will pull up for you. And we all know that also any sort of recorded history concerning ancient African history always somehow gets erased. Okay, so even though that's not the card that I was looking for, we've got all types of symbology. For instance, in the Chariot here, in the traditional deck, and I'll put a traditional picture up there as well, make space. In the traditional deck, you may have the chariot, pulling an actual chariot here in this major arcana card, which is indicative, or which is very derivative of ancient Egyptian biblical type energy, right? With that chariot. Watch it be right here in the front. All right, so here with the Wheel of Fortunes, what I was saying about the hieroglyphs, as you can see right there in the center, definitely some Egyptian ancient Cometian influence, but they don't always get their credit. So what we do know about Tarotchi is that it was called Tarotchi, and it came to Italy by way of gypsies. Okay, and this is debatable. This is just the information that I found. It came to Italy, northern Italy, around the late 14th, early 15th centuries. Originally, it was used as a game, like a game of charades, right? So they would lay out the cards, and the person who was up would have to act out the cards, act out what was going on with the cards. Okay, and that is pretty much the same thing that we have going on when we talk about tarot. We talk about how this is for your mind. This is for your mind to get some sort of peace, some sort of solace, some sort of answers to questions from your higher self, or from loved ones that have passed on. Just make sure you're very clear about who it is that you're talking to. But this is a place to put your mind at ease, and that's the way tarot should be used. Okay, you should also understand that just like back in the day when they were playing Tarotchi in Italy, you could basically create whatever story you wanted to create with whatever cards you were given, right? It's your interpretation. And so that's what I also want you to remember when you're handling any deck, is that it's your interpretation. Of course, like we talked about with the planets in the Rich Witch show, there's going to be general information that just rings true across the ages, across the spaces. However, for the most part, spirituality, anything involving spirituality, is all about your interpretation, intellectualism as well as intuition, and they meet in the middle right here in this throat chakra, in this blue region, to bridge together the two and create the life that you want to create. That's what this is used for. So they would use it to play games, and then it didn't really become part of divinatory practices until the 18th century. So 400 years later, as per recorded, this doesn't include ancient commissions. I guess the accent's just staying, love it. So 400 years after it was introduced as playing games, it started to take on this divinatory type of energy. And also this is where we begin to see our oracles cards come into play. Now, the most popular illustration type of deck that we're used to is the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. Okay, and this was commissioned in 1909, where this became the standard deck until the 70s, where Kaplan took over. Can you believe it? The same people producing your textbooks are also producing your tarot cards. Rider-Waite-Smith tarot cards in mass, okay? There's a connection there, there's a correlation, and I'm seeing the value in that. All right, so I wanted to put a couple of disclaimers out there, some things to expect when you're doing these practices. One, people are not going to agree with you. Two, when you find people that do, stick with them, and the people who don't, make sure you put your beliefs first. I will say this was the demise. This little deck, these cards, these simple images were the demise of my father and I's relationship. But what I will say about that is that it told me the truth. It wasn't the demise, it was the truth about our relationship. When I started watching tarot, September 2019, I was so drawn in. I was captivated. It popped up on my YouTube feed one day. I saw something that said Virgo. I saw a black woman there. Shout out to House of Oshun, Lulu. She put me on to a lot of things. Pretty Boss. So many women have been my teachers throughout the years, thanks to watching tarot practices. D from Consciousness Evolution Journey, those are some of my favorites. Avalon Intuitive, Roseology, ADKXZ Tarot. I'm shouting out everyone. JJ Constellation, if I've ever watched you. Miss Remy Healings, I appreciate Dane Hart Tarot, all these people that I have watched and gotten to the point where I don't need them anymore. Bliss, Psychedelic Virgo, My Fairy, Oracle, all those people, just giving you a shout out to say thank you so much for bringing me this far on my journey. I wouldn't have known anything about the moon cycles, new moon and full moon. I wouldn't have known anything about Sirius Star Family or Atlantis or Lemurians. I wouldn't have known anything about ancient Egyptian, and I still have more to learn, but I'm just saying so much of myself, shadow work, I learned through watching tarot and doing my own readings. Now, with that being said, I decided, like I said, I started watching in August 2019. I got my first deck in February 2020. So tarot has its own language, right? And I got very, very, very familiar with that language. And you will begin to use this language in everyday conversation. Three of Swords, I'm so disappointed. I get it now. Justice, fairness, legalities are coming into play. It's got its own language, and it will really open you up to spirituality and make your life a lot easier. Understanding houses, understanding astrology. So because this is where I started, it's where I'm starting with my teaching. And also the last thing I wanted to say was make sure when you are reading, first of all, you're clear on who you're talking to, because I did have a run-in where my first deck, full disclosure, was cursed, but it was only because I let the wrong people into that space when I was learning. And when you're learning something and it's fragile, you don't want energy to taint it. You don't, because it's new to you, so it's going to be a sensitive topic, and you're going to want to keep it to yourself unless you're around the right people. Follow your intuition on who you can tell and who you can't tell. Understand that maybe baby boomers, maybe those people who are from the South, or anyone with heavy religious or very conservative views will not agree with this. They just won't. And that's okay. You continue doing your thing, you continue living in your truth, and know that this is building up your confidence, and eventually you'll get to the place where you don't even need the cards. You do it for fun. You do it because you love it, but you won't need it to read anyone because your intuition will be so strong. And that's honestly where I am with the telepathic abilities. It's where I am with being able to see through the bullshit. And I've got to say, it's all thanks to that first reading that I watched. There was one other thing I want to say. When you are pulling, you've got to know what the cards mean for you. For instance, I know the King of Cups always refers to some sort of fatherly energy for me, okay? And it could change for you, but each card will begin to mean something or represent certain people in your life. However, that does not mean that you have permission to read for people without their permission. If you're going to read for others, always, always, always ask permission. How you do that is up to you. But always get permission, not just in the 5D, because of course we're source, we're all coming from the same source, we've got permission because we've got the same energy. But here in this physical realm, because these are tangible and physical, you make sure you do your due diligence and you get permission from anyone before you read for them, about them, or to them. Do you understand? Any cards that you pull are about you and your situation. Don't go looking for other people's business. Don't go looking to pull other people's energies into yours. This is about making yourself accountable, holding yourself accountable. All right? And so that's the intro. That's the background. That's a little bit of background on me and why I started doing this. I hope that you enjoyed that video. And right now we're going to get into the first card in the tarot deck. So excited to dive into this and see what my higher self has to say. Thank you so much again for signing up for our subscription, and I'll see you in the next video.
Calling all my rich witches ages 25 to 30. For everybody tired of being done dirty by society, relationships, and trauma for your parents that leaves you battling anxiety and depression. But my name is Chinwe and I want us to glow. That's why it's time to tune into the Rich Witch Show. We gon' talk about astrology and read some tarot. Plus I'ma go deep and push the envelope. Whoa.